G'day everyone, welcome back to GORDYS GASBAGS. We are Friday night special. If you've worked it out, it's always a Centurion on a Friday night, and we are up to episode 29. Corona's still here. Hopefully you've all got one out for this one because it's going to be a doozy. We're heading to one of the Centurions. Of course, we've had Liz, we've had Vic this week, we've had Shirazzle Dazzle, and we now go to none other than Catherine Cox. Scotty!
Hello! I don't know that they would have figured it out because I didn't figure it out. You got an abusive text message from me last week wondering when I was going to be asked.
I just thought I'd leave you dangling for a bit.
Great to be here finally. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Leave the best last. I see what you're doing.
Your hair's growing.
Yes, well that's what happens in ice. It's actually done though. I did Sport Sunday on Sunday and I said to her, put as much crap in it as you want to keep it looking decent for a while because I'm not looking decent in isolation. So it's not bad, but it's very long and it's very dark.
Yeah, I know. That's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Anyway.
Yeah. At least yours is dark. At least yours is dark. Lizzie's was grey.
I noticed that because, again, on Sports Sunday, she started out in the sun when she was doing her crosses and now she's got, like, this part under the brand. You can't see her grey hairs.
She could start a fire with the reflection.
We need different. She needs to have my ivory colour. I need to have hers. Crazy.
How are you going through COVID?
Okay, actually. It was a bit mind-numbing at the start, the amount of arts and crafts and what needs to happen to keep a 4-year-old going all day, but I'm actually loving it now. I'm going to really struggle to go back to the real world, I think. You know, we stay in bed till 8:30, just chilling out and watching telly, and then we get up and go for a couple of beautiful walks and just have coffee runs and paint, and it's not stressful.
You frighten me.
Why is that?
I don't know, like don't you want to get back working and get busy?
I do. Income wouldn't go astray, don't get me wrong. And I do love when I have my adulting moments, when I do my Zoom calls with all the girls with a couple of glasses of wine. Yep. Don't misunderstand where I'm coming from. But it is getting easier to just chill and just hang out because I was going crazy at the start, but I think I'm getting quite comfortable. So, yeah, work needs to start.
How's your mum and dad doing up on the Gold Coast?
Oh, they're loving life. My sister's been out on the boat and just relaxing and enjoying life, so isolation's not tough up there. But the weather has been amazing here, as it has up there, which has made such a difference. If it had been raining this whole time, I think it would have lost the port already.
I must admit we've said the same over here in Perth. We've probably only hit our first bit of bit crappy weather this week, but being able to go out and see the sunshine makes a massive difference.
Massive difference to your sanity, doesn't it?
Catherine, I know your story.
Yes. I know, as do most people.
What do you want to talk about then?
Not much to tell you.
Well,
keep chatting like we were before we press record.
Yeah, no. Hey, but you know, really, you're a New Zealander.
Yes. You know what is the funniest thing is I'm trying to enroll Harper into a decent primary school, and apparently it's really tough to get kids into this particular school, which is crazy, only in Sydney. Anyway, I was talking to the admin lady and I said to her, do I detect a Kiwi accent? And she said, oh yeah. I said, where are you from? She said, oh, just this small country town up north. You wouldn't know it. It was where I was born, in Whangarei. So she said, I'll look after you. See? Being a Kiwi has its perks every now and then. I think I'm good to go.
Oh, now and then. I was going to say there should be a big gap in between now and then.
Well, that's right. A huge one. Apparently, she tells me Keith Urban was born there as well. So there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently.
All these people that Australia claim.
All these people that as soon as they see the light, they leave the small country town in New Zealand. Yes.
How old were you when you came across? Socks. What was your first meal? Fish and chips?
I have no idea. I don't, that's the thing. I mean, I'm a Kiwi, but I don't remember anything about it. As soon as people hear you're a Kiwi, they start talking to you about certain places and whatever else. Wouldn't have a clue. as far as my whole conscious life, I was in Australia. So I'm an Aussie through and through.
Were you sporty always?
Yes, liked to run around a lot. I was very good at the heavy throwing activities at Little Athletics. I was very good at shot put. My poor dad, I made it through to a rep carnival. So I'd done the school thing and done whatever the next step is, and then made it to a regional carnival. They spent all this money on this tracksuit I had to have for this team and was out in Whoop in Sydney. And Dad took the day off work and he came out with me and I threw 3 fouls and went straight away. So that was my athletics career. And then I love playing, touch footy at school. We'd get to school as soon as we could, primary school, and play all morning. And then all morning tea, all lunchtime, afternoon tea, waiting to get picked up. I look back now and think, God, to have that sort of energy. Nuts. What's happened to us, Gordy?
Oh, have a look.
Too many wines and Coronas in isolation. Yeah, I see.
Hey, your dad's a bit of a good cook. Well, he was in the day.
Yeah, I know, and they're torturing me because we seem to torture our family with photos of other people's food. So whenever they cook anything nice up there, they take photos of it and torture me because I can't have it, obviously. But because Harper and I have been baking non-stop for something to do, I've been sending a few back, but Nev is gourmet in the kitchen, loves to get in there. He literally plans it all day though because he's retired. So he's up in the morning and he starts preparing for dinner. It's like the whole day event. So it's pretty spectacular, but I'm missing it because particularly now, it's such a good time just to have family meals and, enjoy that time with them, but we can't.
Yeah, I know. It's quite sad, really, isn't it? Hey, with your dad's cooking, didn't you used to sort of cook up a few treats and take them away to the different rep carnivals and stuff?
Yeah, everyone loved it when Dad was coming to rep carnivals. He'd bring the whole, the spread. He'd have the fold-out table. It was like, he used to carry it like a briefcase. You remember those? Yeah. That it had a table and the little chairs attached. And he'd rock up with that and his esky, and he'd pull out his homemade muffins and his spread, and he'd have wine for the parents. And yeah, so they'd all get super excited about Dad coming to netball. Funny though, because I don't remember Dad ever missing a carnival. It was always him that came to netball, and sometimes he'd drive me all the way to Liverpool and we'd get there, and this did happen once. And I was like, why is there no one here? And I'd be my manager, the carnival's in Sutherland, which is like 2 hours from each other. I know, he nearly killed me that day. I don't even know how I stuck that up, but yeah, he was always there. He always had the spreads for days. It was the best.
When you were always tall though, weren't you? You were pretty.
Yeah, tall and no, I don't reckon I was unco. I was actually fairly coordinated, and funny because I watch Harper like a hawk. When she wants to run, I'm like, please don't be uncoordinated, because that's my biggest fear, is that her dad's tall and I'm tall, that she's just going to be this tall giraffe with no bodily control whatsoever.
And that's okay.
But it's not going to make Mum any money. No pressure. No, but she is actually quite coordinated, thank God. And I reckon I was semi-coordinated as well, which is fortunate. So I did everything. Did little athletics and cross-country and played hockey and played basketball and whatever was going, and loved every minute of it. But I was a wing attack when I first started, the world's biggest wing attack. And then I think they realised that was a waste of height, so I got shoved up the either end.
Cop a few nicknames?
Oh yeah, Big Bird was a standard one, and then later that became Big Bitch.
What, you mean only like in the last couple of years with us?
Since I met you guys, yeah. No, not really. I think I was never a bully at school, but I reckon people just don't want to mess with someone that's, a little bit larger than them. So no, I never got taunted or any bad nicknames. So Big Bird was a good one.
So were you in, because I've asked this to a couple of goalers that we've had chatting through the gas bags. When you eventually went in to become a shooter after your big wing attack career. Did you consider yourself a bit of a natural? Like, did you have a natural eye for the ring?
Terrible. When I first got put there, I cried for days and I complained for days and I whinged to the coach forever, and she just stuck. So I was playing there for a state schoolgirls team, but I was still playing defence in my rep team, which was even worse because I was trying to do them both at the same time. But I was that bad at shooting. I literally thought for a long time, I don't know what she's thinking. I will never get the hang of this. This is the hardest thing ever. So much so, because the coach was persistent, Mum said, if you go down and you practice, I'll give you some pocket money. So that, she literally had to start bribing me to practice because I just wanted to throw in the towel and ditch it. And then I don't know that I ever really got it. I wasn't a high percentage shooter, my career. I was, I think I finished my career around 70, high 70s, early 80s percent-wise. So I don't think I ever really got it. Not like some of the shooters now. My God, the percentage is ridiculous.
Yeah, but then you did have a range with your shot. You didn't just shoot under the ring.
True. I was one that wasn't worried about what my percentages were. That's true. Thanks, Gordy. You made me feel better.
Like to slip one of those in. That'll be the only one for the entire episode, though, Kath. Let me tell you.
And you're done.
Who shaped your shooting? Who shaped your netball?
That's a really good question. Probably Carol Sykes in the early days, and that just showed belief in me. Certainly the coach that switched me from defence to shooter saw something that I certainly didn't. But Carol Sykes in the early days was really, really complimentary and very encouraging. She was like that with all the players, but I certainly felt that a lot from her. And then Julie Fitzgerald, definitely, as the years went on, just never put that much pressure on netball. So you didn't let it go to your head. Didn't make it easy. Because she just appreciated there was so much more going on in people's lives than just the netball court. And I think that makes you just a bit more of an all-rounded, normal netball player.
Did you used to, Did you used to watch anyone in particular coming through?
No, netball was never, I never really looked up to players and wanted to play them, kind of just was good at it and made one step after the next, after the next, after the next. It wasn't until I was dropped from the Aussie team for the first time that I went, do you know what? I actually quite like this. And I think I might work a little bit harder than what I was doing at the time. I know, what a brat, hey? It's terrible.
So, I was just going to ask. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go.
I remember watching, when I was in the New South Wales junior team, we had to go to Super League or whatever it was called to help, I think, promote nationals coming up or something like that. I wasn't there to watch the game, but we had to go and do something. Anyway, I found myself standing in the bleachers watching Julie Nyquil. Do you remember her?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, with a full, I think she was basketball background, or she was playing basketball, tennis or something. And it was the, I don't know, it was the strut, it was the basketball socks, it was the big hair and the makeup. And I mean, that was the one that I used to watch, but I used to just think she was fascinating. And I don't know if fascinating is a good thing.
Well, I was going to say, none of those kind of characteristics carried over into your game.
That's what not to do.
Right? Yeah, you've had some hairdos.
Oh, yeah, I've had some doozies, hey. It's a worry. Yeah. And majority of my career with those doozies. I don't know what it was. Short hair.
You can tell your eras.
Yeah, you can. It was short hair for a long time, though. Oh, no, it might have been a little ponytail when I first started, but then it was the short hair with the Alice band, and the amount of freaking Alice bands I broke because I got a ball to the head, or just when I was travelling and it would get squashed in my bag or something. So Sean McGovern, our physio at the time, he found me a little box to put it in so I could travel with the Alice band. Oh, I know, it's stupid, isn't it?
Yep.
And then ponytail to finish.
Crazy. Let's go back to your first hairdo. So when you played for Australia, so 97 your debut?
Yeah, I was in the team 96 but didn't play. 97 was my first.
97 first on court. Where was the game?
In Perth against South Africa. That's all I could tell you.
Really?
Swear to God.
You can't remember whether you came on at what quarter?
No, nothing about it. My memory is atrocious at the best of times. You ask Michael, our stats guy. I very often text him. Like, what was the record again that I had, or when did I debut? And he'd rattle it off and tell me all the stats. I wouldn't have a clue. My memory was not great, and because back then we did. I mean, it's so much easier now. I think with the modern phones and the cameras and stuff, that all of that is just recorded very easily. But back, I think of Vicky Wilson often because it would have been hard to really have any sort of gauge on her career. And she was, I mean, we know the story about her becoming Centurion, which she didn't think it was. Yeah. But I just don't have any recognition of those first games or any proof. And I've no evidence of it, but hardly any photos of it.
Right, there you go. Anyone out there that might have some photos, send it in. We'll get them on.
Would love to see them. Oh, my God. Actually, no.
Well, you look different.
Oh, jeepers. Yeah.
Hey, you look different.
Oh, yeah, way different. I was doing, as you know, on Instagram, I've been doing last week I did a diamond shot. I did one a day. But I found I was putting up all the same sort of teams with a variation of players because I didn't have any photos of anything before that. And, stuff afterwards. God knows where that is.
Yeah, well, we're getting a lot better at documenting our game now, which is good.
Yes.
Hey, you spoke before about how you got dropped, and maybe that was a bit of a light bulb moment for you. Why were you dropped, do you reckon?
Oh, because of my attitude. Because I quite literally just went from one team to the next, to the next, to the next. I missed New South Wales Open State team. I was one of the youngest in that. I skipped the 21s, New South Wales 21s, and went to that. And then a couple of years in the Australian 21s, and next minute I was in the Australian Open team without having done any more extra work than I would have otherwise done. And then only a year in that side. And I think it was back then in the days that we had a kind of rotating 12 anyway, or 10. I can't even remember. But I got dropped and cracked it, as you do when you're young and you think you're better than you are. And then was like, I probably could work a little bit harder. So without doubt, the best thing that could have happened to me.
Wow. From that, you go on and you play, 3 World Cups, 3 Commonwealth Games. That's a lot of 16 years in the green and gold.
Yeah, that is a very, very, very long time. And I remember the vast majority of it, which is pretty scary. But amazing how fast that goes. Absolutely flew past. And I remember all the stuff that happens after the netball stuff. Like, we'd go to Jamaica and we'd play and then we'd go on a holiday or something. But in terms of the netball, because it was just so much of it, it was a bit of a Groundhog Day a lot of the time with all the tours and stuff.
But so it's funny because, you're a competitor. You are, aren't you? You are a competitor. I've seen that side of you. You just don't like to show it.
Yeah, do you know what, though? I think more than being a competitor, because I don't miss that at all. I think because I was playing well, I like the feeling of playing well. I like the feeling of beating an opponent. But in terms of being a competitor, I had to learn that. I had to learn how to work hard. That wasn't, a lot of athletes have that, and they do the extras and they want to be better. And I was never looking for that ever until I realised I had to. So it wasn't a natural thing in me, but I did love feeling good after playing well. I love that feeling. And I reckon I, hands down, played better nationally than I ever did internationally.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon my best netball came playing ANZ, CBT, whatever, and then patches of it for Australia, but I don't think I played my best for Australia, no.
Why do you reckon that was? And blatant question, was it pressure?
No, because, there was pressure nationally then, definitely, but I reckon Julie Fitzgerald had a big bit to do with that. Huge. And, with your National League sides, a lot of those players are together for such a long time that it was easier to feel good about what you were doing because you had usual combinations around you and you knew your leader and you knew your coach and it never changed. And that was very different, obviously, with the Diamonds. And, some coaches definitely worked better for me than others. So, Julie Fitzgerald was definitely one that got the best out of me, for sure.
Very interesting, Catherine. The first World Cup, 2003, that's the Manchester... No, what am I saying? 2003. Where's 2003? Jamaica. There's your memory going for you.
Yeah. Only because I put photos up this week on Instagram.
For a first World Cup, was that a bit of an eye-opener, Jamaica?
Yeah, it was an eye-opener, but in terms of it being in Jamaica, it felt like a huge step backwards for what we were there to do in a small stadium that I don't think sold out, really. I think maybe the finals it did. But I remember it being a very odd feeling walking out for the gold medal game in a small stadium with a good crowd, but not a crazy crowd. Obviously not a heap of Aussie fans there. I remember that being quite surreal. But the flip side of that is that you think, oh, God, I wish this was better. The flip side is when you lose, it's a good thing, which we did.
Yes.
On that occasion, because we weren't hounded by, media and fans, and it was bad enough, the feeling, let alone having that, so much worse by having so many people around us.
Do you hate losing?
I hate losing, definitely hate losing. But probably, again, because I got so used to winning and I've not had a big winning base. It is what it is, isn't it? So used to winning particularly in a team sport, it's just the feeling of letting other people down as well around you that is just worse than anything.
Who in the Aussie side, apart from Liz Ellis, because we all know, we'll get to you and Lizzie, but who in the Aussie side through the time that you were there, do you kind of look back and go, it's kind of part of the furniture with you?
Oh, there's a few. Definitely Sherelle for a long, long time. And probably because around a lot of the times that we weren't successful, we were in leadership roles together. And that really brings you together because you've got to try and, lead by example and lead from the front and try and work it out and lift your side. So, that brought us closer together for sure. But just so many great moments. And again, not just the winning stuff, but all the stuff off court because we were such good mates. And then Nat Roberto as well for that same reason, in a leadership position with her too towards the end of my career. And you've formed some good friendships that way, definitely.
You have played in those big cups. You've played in two of the most significant games. We know the 91 World Cup win or the 99 World Cup win stand out for particular individuals, I think. But that 2000 or your Commonwealth Games double extra overtime and the 2011 World Cup extra time in Singapore, extraordinary moments. One, you're on the court, and one, you're off the court. You've been on and then you come off. Let's go to the one that you're on the court first, the Commonwealth Games, right? And I've, in Centurions, we play this footage and whatnot, but it's almost spine-tingling because you've got your mojo on the long shot.
Yeah. I can only imagine, when I finished playing, I went to coach for 5 years. I can only imagine what the coach was thinking when I'm lining up for long bombs when the game is in. She would have been about to kill me. That wouldn't happen in this day and age. There's no way that would happen. People would be working it in to get a safe shot and make sure they score from it. That would just never happen. And I would never think about passing those off. It was not in my DNA to do that. But I do think how stressed the coaches must have been to see me just turn around, I'll give it a crack. What's the worst that can happen? We'll lose the World Cup. No dramas.
Sherelle tells a funny story, Kath, around taking that final shot, and the role of the goal shooter at that moment should be offering
like this. Not very convincingly, but oh my God, under the post never was my thing. So it's much better that Sherelle took that shot. If she passed it to me, I would have probably shat my pants and shot it, and God knows what would have happened. But as it turned out, great result.
Sherelle, yeah, I spoke to Sherelle about that, and I begged the question of her, did she have any comprehension at the time of what was going on? We spoke to Donna Wilkins the other night, and she, did you have any comprehension at the time what was going on? I'll ask the same question of you. Did you know what the hell was going on?
Then we did. It took a very long time, but we knew by that stage that if she got that shot in, or that shot going in would win us the gold medal. Yeah. So that's particularly why I was like, here if you need. Not really.
What about in 2011? You're drawing to the end of your international journey. Is that correct? When did you retire?
13.
Yeah, so you're coming towards the end. World Cup in Singapore. It was a great World Cup. It was a terrific. Singapore did a really good job, I thought. Caitlin Bassett comes on the scene, and you have to send, and you tag team her onto the court and you to the bench.
Yeah. That tournament, I was playing very well. That was probably the best I think I've ever played for Australia, particularly in that semi-final against Jamaica. I don't know how or where it came up, but I saw a bit of vision of that somewhere a couple of months ago. I was like, oh, it's actually not too bad. I was playing well, so I started that final. But I mean, I think everybody knows the story of Caitlin and my relationship, and that, you know, she was in the side and had been for a while, but I didn't think her skills were where they needed to be in the Australian team. So I worked a lot with her to improve those, because regardless of who was on the court, we had to have someone that was capable of doing what they needed to do. So she came on, and I tell you what, when you're in the middle of the game and you're playing, you don't get nervous because there's too much going on, there's too much to think about. But when you're on the sideline and you have absolutely no control over the result, it is sickening. Once I was on the bench, it wasn't for nerves for Caitlin, because I knew at that point she was more than capable. But it's just that it's now out of your control completely, and you just have to sit there and see what happens and how it goes. And again, I think back to the coaches that are in those positions, because it's terrific. But she did the job for us, and that's why I beeline straight for her when the final went, bawling my eyes out. I don't think I've ever been that emotional after a game. Or maybe when Liz retired and I was the only one who knew, but it was really, really emotional. And I just grabbed her and wouldn't let it go. It was really cool. And I didn't care that I was on the bench because we won.
Yeah. And you could tell that from the footage. And then, so you're hanging there for another short period of time. Somewhat controversial, your finish. Because we talk about not everyone gets to have this kind of fairy tale ending to their career in any sport. And Liz Ellis tells a great story about how she, after recovering from an ACL, drew the line in the sand. You were the only person that she told, and prior to the 2007 World Cup finishing, and she wanted to end on her terms where she could walk off the court. Sherelle didn't get to do it. Vic probably didn't. Well, Vic did to a certain degree, but of the Centurions, your ending wasn't great either.
No, and it all started from the Swifts dropping in 2011, because, that year I won Player of the Year. I was in the Aussie team. I think it was Aussie Player of the Year that year. I was playing well. And then it was just the rejection of being the Swifts, and, I had to go to them playing Perth, and kind of, I don't know, from there on in, it just wasn't as smooth sailing. And I often think about the fact if I'd been able to stay with the Swifts, that I'd been able to keep some longevity in the Aussie team, because I did want to play in other Com Games. I wanted to go to Glasgow and play that. But, yeah, it wasn't to be. And I was still in the squad and going to training and whatever else. And Lisa rang me. Must have been after Chelsea. I can't remember all the good stuff I put out of my mind. But she rang me and said, I want to talk to you. And I said, I want to see you face to face. I said, no, if you want to see me face to face, there's something going on here. So tell me now to my face, tell me over the phone. And this went back and forth for ages. And I said, Lisa, if you want to tell me something, tell me now. and she said that I wasn't going to be selected in the squad. So not just the team. I wasn't even going to make the squad. And that was the thing that shocked me and hit me very hard after 16 years, that I wouldn't even get a shot at being in the squad. And again, you have your moment of poor me, and you piss and moan and whinge about it. But at the end of the day, what can you do? That was it. So just time to give it up at that point.
Did it take you a long time to get over that?
Oh, you know what? It probably took me a day, because I had these plans of going to Glasgow, and I'd talked with my family about them coming over, and we'd been through all of that sort of stuff. And I know you shouldn't do that as an athlete. You shouldn't put yourself on the plane before you've done the hard work. But I just thought, given the longevity and everything else, that I would at least be in the squad and we'd go from there. So it took me a day at least, but then I just thought, what are you going to do? Can't change it, can't do anything about it. So let's just knuckle down, enjoy my last year with the Vixens. I'll announce that I'm going to retire from that as well. And, it's been a good career, so I can't complain.
I look at all and in timing of this story, I reckon the best vision ever of you is the grand final win of the Melbourne Vixens, the year that you finish up your career. And if anyone hasn't seen that, I'll drop that in this video at the end. So I will pop in. It's a video that we did in the Centurions, and it is just spine tingling. And I kind of feel like even though you didn't finish your Aussie career as a fairy tale, your netball journey did get to finish with a fairy tale, didn't it? It's a special moment, Kath.
It really is. And do you know what? It's the way it should have finished. And I know that sounds cocky, but I just always thought that I'd carried myself well, even when shit had gone pear-shaped. I hadn't complained or whinged or made a big deal or, stabbed people in the back, or hadn't done anything like that. I'd always been a decent captain, I thought, being nice to people, being fair to people. And, I thought after such a long time I deserved a good ending, and it all kind of played out the way it should. So it was weird though, because that one game in my life, I was not at all nervous when I should have been the most nervous I've ever been. But just because I had this calm feeling of, it'll be okay, you deserve this.
Were you surprised by your emotion in the game?
That I had no nerves?
No, when it draws to the end.
Yes, because I think that was when I let go. That was, I looked at the scoreboard for the first time, because I don't look at the scoreboard. I looked at the scoreboard and saw that we were up by enough, with enough time left, that it was going to work out as a win in my last game in a premiership. And that's when I let go of, that's it, I'm done. My career is over, and, kind of just now enjoy this. But that's when it was just like, this is awesome. It completely took, because I couldn't see. I was playing the last 30 seconds with tears in my eyes or whatever it was. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter if I got a ball in the head, because we were going to win the game. And I just remember, particularly after that one, the hug I had with Simone McInnes at the end of the game. That was the highlight.
It was pretty special of Simone in that game. So that people that might not remember, you didn't start on the court. She brought you on in the last quarter, and the game could have gone either way. My mail is that she was going to do that no matter what. Is that your mail?
Simone said to me, so my last year in the Vixens, I wasn't a regular. For the first time in my whole life, I sat on the bench a lot. Karen Bailey and Tegan Phillip had a great combination they'd had for years, and it worked well. It was like a Susan Pettit night. It needed no thought. It did its job. But Simone's thinking was that it only did its job to a degree, so you could get through the rounds and stuff with that. So she had said to me often during that last season, we are going to need you. We can't win this without you, because it was a very unusual feeling for me to be on the bench, and I needed her to help me with that. I needed to understand how I'd enter the game and have impact, because, I'd always just been used to playing the whole thing. So I was in discussions with her a lot, and she did keep saying to me, we can't win this without you, which I thought, it's a nice thing to say. You're trying to keep me happy. But, so you're right. I think she knew that a couple of players would get her to a point, and then, you know, a change may need to happen. So, and she put me on with full confidence, and you know, and that's the hug that I mentioned before at the end of the game. She said, "I told you."
Simone's likely to put her hand up for the Aussie job. You've been coached by her. She'll be one of a number of candidates. Number one, do you think she's good for the job? Or number two, do you think that there's someone else that should get it?
I think she'd be awesome. I could listen to her pre-game talks all day. One of the best at the talk in the change room before a game. Just would have every single person listening to every single word coming out of her mouth. They were amazing. By far the best coach I've ever had at those, ever. And, you know, obviously a knowledge of the game, and she's got the respect of the players, as she's a, you know, fairly recently retired ex-player herself, if you look at it. And aside from that, she still is so fit, and, you know, she gets amongst it, and she has a crack when you need to be told off. No two ways about it. But I love that. It's in a respect way, and you can talk to her. I think those are very, very important parts of, you know, being a head coach, that you have that mutual respect for each other, and that you have good communication lines. It's extremely important. I think she'll nail it.
So you're saying she's the one?
I reckon she's the one for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe Bryony April down the track, but I think Bryony's, you know, admittedly would say she's not ready for that yet. And she's, you know, she's only been a couple of years at the helm of a really elite team. So, you know, I think for the moment, definitely Simone.
You mentioned before you went on to do 5 years of coaching, and then I've also sensed through your discussions that, God forbid, if you were ever in a position thinking about what the players are doing on the court. Not your thing?
Not my thing. Games I love because it's easy. It's all reactive. Trainings was really hard. I found it really hard to put sessions together, and found I was all over the shop, which is bizarre because I've done so much coaching, but looking back, it wasn't one team. It was, you know, bits and pieces here and there. But the not being able to control what was happening on the court made me grey every week. It was so frustrating. And, you know, when your shooters are shooting 60%, you just like, it was frustrating. And I'm surprised I lasted 5 years. I'm not doing it anymore.
Does it make you kind of appreciate the role of the coach?
It does. And funny because Norma and I had our moments. Everyone knows that. But I appreciated her a lot more when I started coaching. Because, you know, like she would say so often, I give you all the tools to do this. I don't understand why you're not doing the job. And the amount of times that went through my head when I was, you know, coaching my own team. There's only so much to do. The rest is up to the athletes, out of your control. So, yeah, interesting.
Just digressing, as you mentioned, Norma, the first thing that just popped into my head then were two words: goal attack. Didn't Norma put you in goal attack at West Coast Fever?
Oh, yeah, she did. And again, that was, it's just that thing of change, isn't it? Like I'd spent my whole career in a long career in one position to try and learn something new when you're 36. That was tough. And people probably think goal shooter, goal attacker is exactly the same thing, toughen up, princess. But it's really not, particularly when you're playing suddenly with the likes of a Caitlin Bassett behind you. It is a completely different kettle of fish. You go from being the dominant shooter on court for the most part and just having it delivered on a platter to having to be a part of that. And not to mention the fitness. Let's not get into that. Oh, my God. I could attack or I could defend. I couldn't do both. I was not fit enough for that at all. But, yeah, that was a completely different dynamic. So I didn't really love the last 3 years of my career, my playing career. It had its challenges.
But living with me in Perth was fun.
Was an absolute highlight. I love our Donna Hay cooking weeks where we get a different recipe out of the book and have a crack.
Do you know I still keep one of those recipes going like at least once a week?
Which one?
The Asian noodle dish with the coriander and the chili and the...
Yeah, but people, don't ever let Gordy cook you a curry You know it's hot when you sweat under your eyeballs, like here. And she's just eating it like it's, it's nobody's, it's fine.
Verity Charles is another player that will tell you that same thing, that I can cook in.
I don't think I've ever sweat. Yeah, under here. Just that one time at band camp.
Just that one time. Hey, how naughty is Liz Ellis?
Oh, not now, sadly. But she had a good crack at it.
In what way? Give us an example.
Okay, so here's the story. So this is the problem that we had when we were together. So we went after a Swifts game in Adelaide. The team stayed, all the husbands and partners and whatever came down, and we went to McLaren Bar for the weekend, because back then you could do that. Anyway, I just had these brand new Chanel sunglasses, and I said to Selena, because who doesn't drink, when I look like I'm getting messy, can you come and take these off my face? Because I don't want to break them, right? Because we were going around to all the wineries and stuff. And she's like, right, okay. Anyway, so she comes over to me at a certain point and she takes them off my face. And I'm like, that took a long time. And she goes, the problem with you is you look at Liz and you think you're a lot drunker than you are, and you stop drinking. Liz looks at you and thinks that she's completely fine. So she keeps drinking. So it becomes very, very lopsided to a degree. So I was looking at Liz this whole time thinking, where's Selena? I can't believe I still got my sunnies on my face.
Hey,
that was always us.
Yeah, well, and I can't remember who it was I was chatting to in one of the earlier episodes, and we were talking about, that's right, it was Keely Devery, our boss. God. And she was talking about how, she could do a pretty good smoke bomb when she needed to at the end of the night. And I said, the master of that is you.
The queen. And that's why. Because I'd stop drinking and sober up and be like, right. And I made the mistake early on of telling people I was going, and they'd just crack it. So I just, I'm just going to the bathroom, guys.
Yeah.
Hey! Out of there, the queen of it. And I certainly, towards the end of my career, I missed out on some pretty crazy stuff happening, particularly after the World Champs in Singapore. I kicked on for a long time, but it got really messy when I left. And it's nice to wake up, not...
Yeah. Look, I did my due diligence in Singapore, and I stayed out just to make sure I could report back on.
You are such a team player. Good job, you.
There was a few to look after. Hey,
yeah.
Before I wrap this up, Kath, I need to talk to you about commentary. Do you love being a commentator?
The best thing in the world, and it was the last thing I wanted to do when I retired. So I'm rapt that I kind of fell into it, got forced into it, whatever happened. But it is, how could you not love it? We still get to travel. We still get to see all our netball mates and go to netball, but we can drink wine instead of going to training. It's the dream job. And our boss is a legend, as you just mentioned, Keely Devery, ex-Aussie Diamond.
Yeah.
She's always the first one to start the trouble. So, it's the absolute job.
I'll say that. Do you surprise yourself at how passionate you get about the game when you commentate?
You know what? Funny you say that, because Channel 9's, the Nine Netball's been putting all the clips of, long bombs or feeds into Chelsea Pittman's feeds or whatever the little cut-ups have been. And every time I hear myself, I'm like, oh my God, because everything starts with, whoa, and whoa, and I can't put sentences together. Yell, and then a sentence will follow, but it's always the same sort of bogan thing, which I need to, that's my goal when the netball starts, is to, I love that because it's reactive to what awesome things happening at the time, but it's always the same. So I've got to try and somehow sort that out for this upcoming season. Apologies to everyone who's noticed that as well. I'm working on it.
I think you do a very good job, Catherine, and it's good that you have a solid opinion. I think that's important as a commentator.
Thank you, Gordy. I learned that from you. And I also learned from listening to a lot of other commentators, though, in all seriousness. You hear people commentate your own game. And some things can be frustrating when you're a player, when you're listening back to stuff. And I learned a lot probably just naturally from what I didn't like.
We were just chatting before we went in to record this, and we were talking about if the season goes ahead which we're confident that it will, it's likely to be without crowds to begin with. And for you and I, that means that the players are likely to be able to hear every word of our commentary. Already, quite a few of the players will say that even though they're concentrating on the game, they can hear our voices in the background. Are you a bit worried about that?
I'm very worried about that. I don't think it'll stop me saying anything, but I reckon, the decibels that we get excited about as you're just talking, that'll be embarrassing.
I know.
And the players kind of looking over like, what? Or, they're having a bad game and we say something about them. That's going to be really tough. I feel like they need to take us somewhere else so we can do our job properly.
And no crowds probably to begin with, so that'll be interesting. So, fun and games. Catherine Cox.
As long as we start.
Yeah, okay. Very, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Here's a quickie to finish off with. I've asked this to a couple of people. If you could play in a Suncorp Super Netball team right now, right, alongside a particular goal attack, who would it be?
Ooh. Alongside a particular goal attack. I'd have to go probably Helen Housby.
Really?
Yeah.
Raider.
No, Gretel. Yeah, I forgot about Gretel.
Up to Firebirds. And then if you're in a team, who would you want to be your captain?
I love what Maddie Proud does. I think she's good at ruling the roost, but just cruising fun. I think she'd be a good captain.
And then
I don't know if she needs to crack it at people to pull their heads in, though. Yep. That's important.
And then what about, you've said throughout this interview that, that your competitive nature was more about maybe beating your direct opponent. Who would you love to play against? What goalkeeper?
Is this Catherine when she's good, though, or not now?
Yeah, in your play day, if you're actually playing.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, Courtney Bruce. I'd love to have a crack.
You'd like to have a crack at Bruce?
I'd love to have a crack at Courtney Bruce.
He's an athletic beast.
I'd love to just wipe the smile off her face. That's got my competitive juices going, Gordy. There you go. You just have to take me back.
You can go out and shoot a few goals now, Kath, and we might get you in a dress before the season ends. Hey, big thanks to you for sharing some of your stories, and congratulations on a terrific career, 108 games for Australia over 16 years. Terrific job.
Thank you, Gordy. It's been fun chatting. I miss you.
Yeah, I know. We'll catch up soon, though. So, anyhow, we hope the season's coming back. Guys, that's been another week of GORDY's Gas Bags. Everyone, enjoy your weekend. And I don't know whether I'm going to say I'll see you again next week because I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. But from Catherine and Susan, it's goodbye for now. See you later.
Fairy tale finish, surely not. Kat Cox is on the super sub. Would you be nervous?
Yeah, you're always nervous.
Listen for the reaction. Put the nail in the coffin. Liz Ellis, this is why you play netball for moments like this. Kat Cox can barely contain her emotions out on court at the moment. She's in tears. It's going to be the fairy tale finish. What an emotion-charged victory here for the Melbourne Vixens. Lost the grand final on this court 2 years ago to the Magic. For the exclamation mark. The Vixens finally proved they've got what it takes when it matters. The final score, 53-42. They ran away with it in the final minutes, and Kat Cox goes out on top. It's the fairy tale finish for a true servant of the game. The best team all year becomes the best team on the day that matters most.
Catherine